Hey everyone, welcome to my first live broadcast. And this is going to be a learning event for me because I have not done this on this page before. So I've got this new program called the Online Broadcasting Service. And what this does is it lets you broadcast from your computer to several different platforms, and YouTube is obviously one of those platforms. Now, if you're just seeing a black screen, that is because I'm still learning what I'm doing. So just give me a moment. Hey, there we go. And you've got us live. So, well, I say us, I'm talking about me because I often speak about myself in the third person. Chris is here to talk to you about what it's like living in Korea. I'm just playing. Yeah, so I've been living in Korea off and on for about 13 years now. And it's definitely a unique experience. The interesting things that you find in Korea are some cultural items. People are not used to some of the things that we do here, or that we would normally do in the States. And you just you learn how to get around that. A lot of people in Korea are very polite. In fact, I went for a bicycle ride today for about 20 miles, and at the 10-mile mark I stopped to take a break, and there were two women and one man who was sitting there resting also from riding their bicycles. And the gentleman comes over. This is a very common thing. He comes over and he starts just touching my bike, just like, what's this do, kind of squeezing the brakes and this kind of thing. And especially when I had the motorcycle, that was a really common thing. People would come up and they just want to like feel it, they want to touch it. So I'm not thinking anything about it, but he looks at the brake pads and he kind of puts his finger on, shakes them a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, your brake pads are loose. You need to tighten these." So he didn't say this in English, of course. None of them spoke English, but he went to his bicycle and he got some Allen wrenches, and he came back and he tightened all of my brake pads for me, which was very nice of him to do. The two ladies were very polite also. They were amazed that I was actually from California and living in Korea. They asked me a bunch of really simple questions, which is good because I think that my Korean language skills are slipping. And they said that I speak Korean really well, which is also very polite of them to say because that's not 100% true. Hey, if you want to put a message in the message board, you can do that, and it should give me a notice, and I will be able to answer you when I see the message. So I'll keep an eye out for that. I'm still learning everything here, so if it takes me a little while to answer your message, then don't be too concerned. I will get to it. And I'm having to bounce back and forth here between the online broadcasting service page, like the master page on my desktop, because I don't know how to watch the YouTube page and still see my video in real time. There's about a 3-second delay, maybe 5-second delay, and it gets difficult going back and forth, seeing the hand gestures and whatever that I made about 5 seconds ago, and it doesn't sync up with what my mouth is doing, what my hands are doing, it looks awkward. So what I've done now is I have it minimized so I can just see myself in real time, and then on the right hand side there I've also got my YouTube open, so if you put a message in the message block, I'll be able to read that as well. I know that there's a way around this. A lot of people are doing YouTube live and they're not having these issues, but like I said, it's a learning experience for us all. So if you haven't watched any YouTube lives before, this is streaming in real time right now. It's 9:06 p.m. for me. I plan on going for about a half an hour here tonight. I had set up some slideshows to share with you, and those didn't work out, so that's something else that I need to work on. And there's a lot of transitions and stuff that you can do between the player and the YouTube page. You can put a frame around your screen. You could have, you know, your name down in the corner there, or, you know, pretty much just make a professional looking channel like you would see on the news, or you know, it just depends on what your format is. If you wanted to have a comedy show, you could create your own comedy show. So this is something that I've wanted to do probably since I was about 8 years old, when my stepbrother and I had a little cassette recorder, and we would just push record on this cassette recorder, and we would do like radio shows. We would make our own show. We'd make it up as we went along, and they were silly and they were fun. I found one of those tapes a few years ago when I was living in Washington State, and I listened to it again, and it was ridiculous. I don't have anything like that now. All of the moves going back and forth between Korea and Washington. The last time I went back to Washington, I cleared out my storage unit, and everything that I own is now here in Korea, which is not a lot. And I plan on getting everything down to about 6 cases, because we plan on moving back to the States next year. And so I'm just going to try and make everything as portable as possible. I have my entire photo studio will fit in one case and one bag for the light poles, the light stands, things like this. So I can put it all in my little red wagon, and I can take it anywhere with me where I need to go. So that's really convenient. I had said that I would talk about how I can work here as a photographer in Korea full time. I was very fortunate in a company found my website while I was working over here as a helicopter mechanic, and they liked my photos, and they said they needed somebody to take photos on post full time. I told them I would not conduct industrial espionage, so it would have to be a contract thing. They were like, of course it is. It's all on the up and up. It's through the military. So I have a what's called a SOFA approved contract, and SOFA stands for Status of Forces Agreement. That means I have access to the military posts in Korea. I can get my mail over here as if it was the U.S. Postal Service without having to pay import taxes or anything like that. And I'm on a permanent contract for 1 more year. I'm also volunteering as the photo editor for Groove Magazine. That's at groovekorea.com if you guys want to see the kind of things that we put out. That was one of the things on the slideshow that I wanted to show you. I got to visit Comic-Con this weekend, and it was Seoul's first Comic-Con in Korea. That was very interesting. A lot of people didn't seem to know what Comic-Con was about, so they were just walking around checking it out, and I was probably one of those people. But I think I've heard a lot more about it than some of the people that live here had heard. It was a lot of fun. There's a lot of characters there that were dressed up having fun. Spider-Man was one of the neatest ones because he really got into his character. The photos for that are actually going to be released this week online for the Groove Korea site, so you might catch some of those. I also went to a restaurant this week called Grillers and did some photos for them for the magazine. So that was a lot of fun. And it gives me an opportunity to help a lot of photographers here in Korea be published internationally. And I have a pretty good workflow down now. I've only been working as the photo editor for about a month. I've taken photos for the magazine for about a year now. So that's my photography gig over here. I did have a photo studio upstairs, and it got to be inconvenient to try and maintain the studio, and it was more financially beneficial for me to rent the studio out. I had a buddy coming back to Korea from the States. We had worked together before, and so he is now renting that space from me. If I need a studio, there's plenty of studios to rent over here, so I haven't had any problem getting studio space to make sure that I can get in, use the lights, and take those types of photos. But I've really been focusing more on taking like landscape shots. I've been doing a lot of video, which if you go to my DaVinci Photos channel, you will see some of the videos that I've done there, and a lot of interesting things around Korea that I've shared on that channel. Some of the other things that are interesting about Korea, the food is fantastic and wonderful. There's a couple of restaurants here. When I first got to Korea, all you could get off post was Korean food, and maybe some pizza, and it wasn't great pizza. Now there is all kinds of foreign food available here, every culture you could think of, especially up in Seoul, but still the Korean food takes the day. There's some fantastic restaurants and buffets here for $5. You could go in, the equivalent of $5, you could go into a restaurant and they'll have one main dish, which is usually like spicy pork or chicken stew or something to this effect, and then all of their sides, a bunch of kimchi, maybe some rice, of course, things like this. So the $5, you can't beat it, and you just go in, you fill up your plate. It's very utilitarian, maybe a steel tray that you walk in and you just dish up, sit down, and go to town. If you want to go to a more upscale restaurant, it might be as much as $15, and it's all you can eat: meat, vegetables, rice, sides, kimchi, and you go dish everything up, take it to your table, and you cook everything there at your table. So that's a lot of fun. We call that beef and leaf because you wrap your beef in lettuce and you put some sauce on there and you stuff the whole thing in your mouth. Usually a lot of garlic and mushrooms and deliciousness there. So if you get a chance to come to Korea, or if there's a Korean restaurant near you, I would definitely suggest checking that out. There is one other thing that I wanted to talk about while we were here, and I want to ask you guys what you would like to see in future videos. We can play music, there's really not a lot of rules. You're not going to see me dancing around naked or anything like that. Sorry, not going to do it. But other than that, we can pretty much do anything we want. We could get a bunch of friends in here and chat. We could Skype together wherever you are in the world, and we could put that on here live as well. So we could have a live chat with two people going back and forth. That would be something interesting and fun. So if anybody's interested in doing anything like that, give me a heads up. We'll practice it a couple of times, figure out how it's going to work with the online broadcasting service, and we'll get if you want to do an interview type, or you just want to hang out, we could have a couple of beers online, whatever you want to do. So anything that you're interested in seeing. I'll also get some video footage that I've taken around Korea, and I'll include it in the live broadcasts. and so you'll get to see, you know, some of the Korean temples, what the cities look like. Seoul is like New York City without the violence. So it's a very nice atmosphere to be around. It's one of the few places that I've been in a big city where I could walk around at 2 o'clock in the morning and know that I'm in no danger whatsoever. I didn't feel that way in Dallas. I didn't feel that way in Houston. I never felt that way in LA, even at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So Seattle is a little more laid back, but there are a lot of people that will approach you, and that doesn't really happen here either. I'll also be going to visit the Philippines soon. We can do a live broadcast from the Philippines if we have the bandwidth to do it. So hope that can come through, and that we can keep this up every Sunday at this time. If this is not a convenient time, let me know what the convenient time is for you in the chat box here. Even if you didn't get to see this live, you can still leave a comment, because there will be a replay. Watch the replay, leave your comments there, and we'll hash this out. We'll make this really interesting for all of us, and I hope my kids and my grandkids get a chance to see it, and it brings my family closer together, and that we're just able to communicate more. I know that I've been overseas and moving around most of my life, so I haven't got a chance to really build those relationships with my family. I have a huge family, and I don't have contact with them as much as I would like. So I would like to go ahead and try and work on that, build those bridges. And like I said, we're coming back next year, so it'd be nice to maybe have a family reunion and get everybody together and get a good face-to-face, reintroduce ourselves. I think that's just about everything I'd said that I was going to discuss on here tonight. I said I'd try and go 30 minutes. We've gone about 20 minutes. So I want to thank you guys for checking this out, and go ahead and hit like. It's a brand new channel. You might be the first person to like and subscribe to this channel. So go ahead and give me that like, share the video if you want to share the video, and I can follow you guys back wherever your channel is. So let's build a community, and let's have some fun. All right, guys, I'm gonna end this stream, and thank you very much for watching.